Hey everybody, welcome back to Ravenstead. It's time for another build. I need a little house or hovel out in the woods. I've got a pig farmer that needs a place to live. So I'm going to mock up the substructure of this build with some medium chipboard. Before we get too far into that though, let me just mention really quickly I launched my Patreon page. It's Ravenstead on Patreon. If you guys would like to check it out, I'd love to have you as a patron of Ravenstead. So, alright, let's get back to this build. Enough about that. So, just gonna make the basic structure with chipboard here. I use a craft knife to cut this out. Don't worry, I don't cut myself. So, I'll just go through this and cut out the basic shape. And then I'm gonna build up the structure itself with foam. So this is just kind of a base, so super basic. I think I might try and put this on a PDF, and I'll be offering that on my Patreon page. It's just a 2-inch by 3-inch little building. I am going to put this on a base, and that base will actually have a playable area on it, so you'll be able to remove the hovel and then see the grid on the interior. I'll cut out the roof. This will get a little fancier later on. And now it's time to start knocking this thing together. I gotta texture up a little bit of foam here to make some wooden planks for the door. I'm gonna lay those in. And that whole piece there will get glued to the inside of the cardboard house. So all we'll end up seeing is the door. Cut out a little door window there so you can see who's knocking. So nothing too fancy here, just gonna hot glue this together, put the roof on. There will be overhangs on this roof. So this is just, again, the substructure that I'll build on. I'll actually attach some shingles on there as well. So that'll give it a little bit more detail. I really got carried away here. I wanted to go ahead and do all the timber framing, but then I forgot I wanted to put this on a stone foundation. So I had to get these little fiddly bricks out here and start building that up. Just 2 courses all the way around. So I just shoot a little bit of hot glue, put a couple bricks on, just keep going that way. So we're going to frame everything out here. Rake boards and put in some bars for the windows. Those glue strings are everywhere. So that's my siding there. I cut them out on my hot wire cutter on an angle, so they're beveled, feathered, like lapboard siding. And I'll just start laying those in. Pretty cool effect. I kind of wish I had been able to get them a little bit thinner, but my approach to some of this terrain is kind of almost like an impressionist approach to painting. You know, you want to give the indications of the details that are happening on the piece without getting caught up in all the details. You know, the nice thing about these builds is that they're relatively quick, and that speed just comes from giving the impression of details. Those are my shingles there. I just clipped the shingles into a strip and then bent them back and forth. And then we'll just go right on up the roof, 1 course after another, until we get to the ridge. And instead of having a solid piece of metal flashing covering the ridge there, I decided to go ahead and make some ridge shingles. I thought that looked kind of cool. Alright, we've got the roof on. Now we'll work on the base. Just traced out the basic shape. And laid out a grid for the interior. So if for any reason that I want to maneuver some miniatures during a game inside the building, I can just move the house and I'll have that grid inside. I just kind of whittled it down, get a little bit of texture here on the edges with a brush, and then some aluminum foil just to get rid of the factory and cut surfaces. Now I'll just coat everything with Mod Podge and black paint. That'll kind of stiffen things up, makes the foam a lot tougher, and it gives us those good shadows when we go in to do our dry brushing. And this also kind of fills in some voids too. That'll make those shingles a little stiffer. A little dry brushing now on the base. Some medium gray and then a very light gray, almost a white, a beige color. Hit those stone foundations. And then I'm going to go over the wood with medium brown. And then I'll do that on the roof as well. That's really cool. I love doing that. That's so much fun. You can see how those shadows kind of play in there. That's one of my favorite parts. And now I'm using a light brown. It's kind of a yellowish brown, rusty brown. That'll really pick out the details, give a lot of depth. Areas on the base are going to be covered with grass flocking, so I wanted to give it some green undertone and make sure that that matches in with the base here. I'm using that same really light gray, almost a beige color here to pick out the details of that foundation. You can see some brown kind of overbrushed onto the stone, and this technique just hides it perfectly. It just disappears. So you can hide your mistakes. Not a problem. Very sparing here. I don't want it to look like the roof got snow on it. So just barely touching that with that blending brush. And just kind of homogenizing the dry brushing between the building and the base. Give my roof a little green undertone. We'll probably put a little bit of flocking on that too. Give it kind of a mossy look. I imagine this being a little hovel down in the woods somewhere. We'll go over the whole piece, base included, with this brown wash. It's a burnt umber acrylic ink mixed with water. I do put a little bit of jet dry in there too. That helps to break down the surface tension so you don't get bubbles and it flows nice and easy. I'm using a wet on wet technique, so the dry brushing was completely dry, and then my washes here go on one layer after the other without drying time, and that kind of lets the colors and values blend. So once that's all dried up, I'm gonna start detailing, painting on some PVA glue on the base. That's just straight out of the bottle, and then I'll sprinkle on some fine flocking, and this will give me my grassy areas. Then once I get that fine flocking on there, I'm going to go in with some watered down PVA glue, about 50-50 mix, water and glue, and stick down some medium flocking. Just press it on there and then knock off the excess. That'll give us a little bit of texture around the building. And I'll do the same thing to the building. So you can see how all those washes kind of just blended together on the piece. We've got to have a rotten plank in here somewhere. Yeah, in retrospect, I thought this kind of ended up looking a little silly. So I might take it easy on the rotten plank for a little while. Who knows? Some clump foliage goes in. With some static grass clumps. here and there and everywhere. A little bit of lichen. A couple of clumps here and there. Maybe one more piece right here for the little rats that live in the house. Alright, let me give you guys a look. I'll spin this for you. Alright, here it is. The village hovel. Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Really appreciate it. Make sure you leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. It's great to get all that feedback. I'm thinking maybe I'll build a whole village. Lots of different size houses. I might do that on my own time. There's that playable interior. That'd be a little bit more impressive, or like a big inn or something like that. Thanks for watching. If you get a chance, check out that new Patreon page. I'll put a link in the description down below. Thanks.